here we've looked at all the building side of what we're going to do here, the fact that we're living a building challenge as our process of certification. Let's look at the resilience of the organisation as Urban Integration Working Group, resilience as the development, resilience as in terms of the community.
Ian, one of the core principles going forward with this project, resilience, at organisational level, what's required here is trust. Without trust, nothing works. It all kind of falls apart. Now that's going to require transparency, so there's going to have to be openness. We don't always get things right first time. We need to be clear and open about those kind of things. But it also requires clarity of purpose. Now I think that's definitely there with this. But do people really understand that? Do people get the purpose? Do contractors coming in really understand? It's not just about doing their part. There's the bigger picture here. We really need to create an environment where everybody involved is really engaged with this, but also committed to carrying things through. Now, we're comfortable with some of the areas. We may be taking people out of their comfort zone into different areas. So there's a commitment required to get out of our usual ways of doing things and be prepared to try things in a different way. But that also means we need to empower people at different levels to get on and do things in their own way, solve problems, but in return to be accountable back to the centre.
So isn't it?
There's an accountability and a responsibility.
Really critical.
Balancing up here. In addition, with this kind of challenge, we're not going to get everything right first time. So we have to really value the learning that comes from experience. We've got to create an atmosphere where people know that if they try things and it doesn't work, or they make some mistakes, that the key thing here is to make sure that we learn from that. So we're not going to get it right first time. We are going to learn and develop our learning as we go through. Now that's to create a resilient organisation. We need all of that stuff at every level. But at the individual, boils right down to the individual. The people getting involved in this process need to be healthy and happy. The physiological health, we need to make sure that people are getting good nutrition, that water, and we need social health, so that we have high quality teams, people enjoy being part of the thing. The community at the end of the day needs to be full of people who actually care how each other are doing, not just isolated and kept apart.
Such an important part,
And emotional health. People need to be confident and able to bounce back from setbacks. And we are going to have setbacks along the way. We need to be able to bounce back. So do the community that builds this. So resilience is one of the foundational principles and values of this project.
And it really sits at the core of all our values, and we make that obvious on the Urban Integration Working Group's website. What you've just talked about here is such a critical part of everything that Urban Integration Working Group's all about.
So instead of just being able to cope with the way things are right now, a truly resilient organisation is groundbreaking. It's about moving forward, and it's about being able to adapt to the unknown, and then to create a whole new environment that other people are trying to catch up. And that's where, ideally, we need to be at that third level, where we're creating a whole new environment that other people are trying to match and catch up.
Just Hugh, how do you see this affecting the social aspects? Not only within the actual development itself, but actually outside of that development.
For the people that will be living there at the end of the day, or do you mean?
Well, the people there who are actually living in this development, but also how that affects the whole surrounding community, because that in itself is a really important part. It's one thing throwing up a building and putting people in it, but it's how that building community then relates one to each other, but also how they relate to the surrounding community, who people already live there.
There are going to be so many unexpected ways. That's going to be part of the fun part of this challenge, Ian, is seeing the kind of unexpected connections and the spin-offs that can come from being involved in this kind of project between people that may have no apparent connection at the beginning. That's going to be one of the things that I'm going to be really interested to see how that pans out. And I'm going to be, I guess, the entrepreneur in terms of the social side of the mix, to look at how can we create win-wins for people that wouldn't otherwise happen.
And that really touches on the whole process of education, isn't it? Because this is really about education, and how does that fit that all this information and all the way we're working together. How do you see that whole process of education being important?
If we're trying to grow as individuals, we've got a lot to learn. We've got to try new things. We've got to learn new things. But we're growing a whole new way of building. We're growing a whole new way of living. And what we're trying to achieve here. The whole thing is it's like a living organism.
It is actually.
We've got to. If our brains are disconnected from each other, then each piece of learning gets lost. We've got to share that stuff, be transparent about it. When we stuff up and we learn something from that, then that's got to be shared with the wider community, with other people that are trying to do the same kind of thing.
And this is being done at all levels. It's the builders, it's the designers, it's the government, it's the community around it. It's how we integrate that environment, how we start able to grow food locally, and it's everything. And it's also one thing we're not about, and that's about building silos, is it here?
They've got to be broken down very quickly. And the other thing is, the other resilience killer is a blame culture. As soon as people start getting into what's gone wrong, who's made some mistake, what's going on somewhere else, then the thing falls to pieces. And I hope the building's not falling down.
No, so there's a bit of wind outside, and somebody's left the door open and it just slammed on us. But this is the natural part of being resilient as well. We adapt. We can. We're here talking about things which are really important, but other stuff gets in the way, and we've got to work around it, haven't we, here?
So if you want to learn about becoming resilient, this is one of the great takeaways for organisations that get involved here, is to build your own organisation, your own company as a resilient organisation that is going to be able to withstand whatever economic or other shocks come along in the future. As individuals, from being involved in the whole thing, one of the great takeaways is to have a long, happy, healthy, productive life. So that's one of the reasons we think you should be getting involved.